Don't give up, just deny. We try our best, and wisdom's the soul. God wants us to bring rivers to monsters. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome aboard, everyone. It's Betting Weekly Live. You're with Steve Wyss, and alongside me is Jack Wright from the Premier League show. It is Friday, the 13th of December. Now, it's quite interesting because there is a YouTube Shorts video that's came out today on that Because We Win about betting superstitions, and I'm involved in this particular video, so do check it out. But do you have any superstitions on Friday the 13th, Jack?
Hello, Steve. It's good to be with you again. So my only superstition really is I only start the weekend officially when me and you are on the live show on a Friday. That's what my superstition is.
Trichodecaphobia is the fear of the number 13.
Yeah, are you superstitious that way? Are you worried about Friday the 13th? No, good. Glad to hear.
No, but I mean, I do have a superstition on the video, but it's not to do with numbers or things like that. Hopefully it's a lucky day for us with the betting. I hope everyone has been doing well. I mean, this live show has been cashing winners all week. There's been some good form on the Premier League show, Betting Weekly Extra Time as well. Hope everyone had a great Thursday in Europa League yesterday. And the Rams last night in the NFL. Shakespeare with his usual winner, -3, came up, but also no touchdown. 140-1. No touchdown.
Wow.
And I heard from our trader, Troy, just before we came on air, that 8 bettors did back no touchdown scorer at 140-1. And one of those winners cashed out nearly $4,000. So,
nice. Was it you?
It wasn't me. No. As well, I once did win a no touchdown scorer bet in. Funny enough, I think it was a Rams game. So, fair play to anyone who did take that. That was a huge price.
Troy priced up, didn't he? Obviously, just before we came on there, just to give us an equivalent in soccer, because we were trying to think what that might be, because we don't really get the no goal scorer that kind of price, is it? Of course, but he did price up, didn't he? What a similar price bet would be for the big game this weekend.
It was one of our other producers behind the scenes, Max, who does a great job with a lot of the comments alongside other stuff. And I think it was Erling Haaland to score a hat-trick this weekend, and Bruno Fernandes to score from outside the box. It was 150-1. So that's sort of the soccer equivalent. I actually think that's quite feasible, actually, if Haaland gets going. Welcoming everyone. Duncan, Paul Aguda, great to see you. Ming as well. Always abundance. New name to the chat. Welcome in. Claudia says in Italy, Friday the 17th is the scary day. Disky Kingsy as well. Usually a fan of the intros. That was too heavy. That's the heavy metal one, Kingsley. Maybe next time
it was just to wake me up. It was all.
COD Gaming, good to see you, Rick, as well. I'm Philly. And the parlay from me yesterday, about as easy as it comes. Dinamo Minsk, Copenhagen, Real Sociedad, all 1-0. That's how I like my parlays to win, Jack.
Can't ask more than that, mate. Can't ask more than that.
We'll hopefully get some more winners today. Here on Betting Weekly Live, we've got 5 games. We're going to go through the card on across Europe. We're going to start in the English Championship. Derby County against Portsmouth is the match here at Pride Park, or whatever it's called these days. Derby minus money favourites at -118. Portsmouth +300. Over 2.5 goals actually plus money here, +120. That caught my eye just because of the odds, really, more than anything else. Not saying I fancy it. Portsmouth I thought they'd do better this year, but they are just outside of the relegation zone, unbeaten in 4. Can Derby be trusted? Derby haven't won for a while. Can they be trusted at minus money?
I wouldn't want to be taking them, Steve, to be honest with you. This is a tough one to call as far as the outright winner's concerned, money line. If push comes to shove, if I was betting with your money, which I know you like me to do anyway, I would be taking the tie here. It's a close one to call. I don't think either side really want to be giving any ground away at the bottom of the table. They just got their head above water at the moment. They want to keep it that way. It's quite interesting. I saw very tough couple of away games for Derby. We talk about what the championship is about and how hard it is. That's been highlighted this week. We've seen it. So these two sides played last Saturday. Derby were away at your club, weren't they? Leeds. So a really, really tough away day for them. They then had to go to one of the relegated sides, Burnley, on Tuesday night, which they got a really creditable 0-0 draw. And now they play again Friday. So 3 games in the space of 7 days. And it's a real grind. It's tough work. And there was a fair amount of rotation from both sides. Some of it was forced due to suspensions and injuries. Others were based on the fact that they just needed to keep things a little bit fresh. Derby have been chasing the ball around a lot over the last 2 games. They Leeds away, Burnley away, really tough fixtures to go to. So both these fixtures last season, because they were both promoted sides last season out of League One, both ended all square. So they ended in a tie. It was a 1-1 draw here, so would have cashed on the unders there, of course, and it was 2-2 at Portsmouth. And in fact, that's now the last 4 meetings between these two sides have ended all square. So possibly, as I said, if push comes to shove, if I had to have a bet on that particular line, I would probably go with a tie again here. This should be a tight one, fine margins, probably a game settled by a set piece, something like that, I'd imagine, between these two teams.
I'm not having Derby at minus money here. I mean, I've just looked at the recent form, and 1 win in 11. Portsmouth have kept consecutive clean sheets, but both matches last year, like you said, have ended draws. I think plus half a goal or the draw double chance on Portsmouth could be worth a go here. Portsmouth or tie, minus 129. I mean, that's just based on raw form. I mean, in terms of the squads and, you got home advantage as well. Maybe there's a case Derby should be favourites, but not by this much. But the tie. Yeah. I mean, you can't if you can't choose a team, the tie's not always the worst angle to go down. Would a draw probably wouldn't be the worst result for either team. I can't believe this. At 96% of the money's on Derby with Bet Rivers here.
They did have a strong home record. They did have a strong home record at the start of the season, and they'd gone a lot of games unbeaten. But they've now got to that point where that kind of momentum from last season has fallen through. Listen, again, Portsmouth won the league last season. Derby came second. They've not changed an awful lot about either of the sides. So, again, and as you said, both games ended all square last season. So read that into what you want.
This match can be watched on a live stream, betrivers.com and the BetRivers app. Also matches today you can watch live in Spain. Valladolid against Valencia, Toulouse, Saint-Étienne, Almeria against Mirandas in La Liga 2, Pisa against Bari in Serie B, and 5 French Ligue 2 games. So you're not lacking action if you want to watch these games live. Shakespeare, absolutely right. Los Angeles Rams, cash that one. Another winner for Shakespeare. His record that he's given out on these comments on the shows this year must be incredible. Derby versus Portsmouth, big unders tonight, says Nigel. Interesting one there.
I think, again...
Just before you get to it, Pompey fan, since we've got Bishop back, we've improved massively. Pompey +1's a good bet. Charlie DeLucci there.
Yeah.
Unders for you, Jack, here?
Yeah, again, I'd fancy unders in it. The price is reflective of that. So I watched the Portsmouth game on Tuesday night, of course, as they were playing my team, Norwich, and it was a war of attrition. That was just watching it. Norwich went about it looking to try and not get beat, really, and they succeeded. It was a tough watch. Portsmouth probably edged it, but it wasn't weren't many chances involved. And I think a couple of injuries, suspensions on that night as well, but they should be back for this one as well. So Callum Lang's been big for them this season. He was out. Andre Dezelle as well. But I think the one thing I'd worry about if I was Portsmouth was the strength of Derby set pieces. They've had 94 shots from set pieces this season. It's the third most in the league. Scored 11 goals. That's 50% of their goals have come from set pieces. Now, not necessarily from that first point of contact, but either a flick on or headed back across the goal. So if I was going down a route of looking for a outsider, say some pizza money, because I'm not strong on much of the main lines here, I'd be looking at someone like Curtis Nelson for them. Massive outsider as far as the goal scorer is concerned tonight, but he's plus 1,300 to score at any time. He's had 11 shots this season. All of them have been headers, 4 on target, 2 goals.
Brilliant stuff. Just looking through the comments there. Shane asked if we got an outright bet for the PDC Darts World Championship. If you're betting on the darts, put it in the chat there. Nigel's put up Luke Humphries would be his bet. We had a good chat about this at the last Friday. I made a case, how does Luke Littler get beat? And Nigel made some very good points, to be fair, about that. Simon is interested in match Volo against Willem II in the Netherlands there. So that is some interesting comments there if you're interested in betting on that league. We don't really cover it on Betting Weekly Live. We don't have enough Dutch expertise on our shows. In the chat we have. Duncan reckons
in the chat.
Luke, yeah, put Luke down on your betting slip. Luke to win.
Luke and a squiggle.
There's a few of them, isn't there? Do I think Leeds will kick on over Christmas? Leeds have a good record in Christmas down the years, actually, Shane. Easter is a no-go for Leeds, but Christmas is usually not too bad. Usually one stinker in there somewhere. But I think Leeds probably... I mean, they got the squad, at the minute. And some of the matches have been... I've noticed with Leeds this year, if they've got a game won by an hour or 65 minutes, they just eased off. Save your energy. You've got to do that. As my cat gets involved, it's Friday. It's the 13th, so he's got to get involved, hasn't he? His first sighting in about 2 weeks. Where's Benny? Benny needs to be in chat because he needs to see the cat. Right, okay, and he's got to be careful because he might move my microphone. Right, let's go to the French game. Toulouse against Saint-Étienne. And I mean, I've been bashing Toulouse all year. So they're minus 275 now. The tie's plus 280, plus 400. Sorry, at the time of recording. Saint-Étienne as big as 7-1, over 2.5 goals at minus 148 now. And I mean, Saint-Étienne have had some nightmares this season. They lost 5-0 at Rennes. They famously lost 8-0 on a Friday night against Nice away from home. So this could be more nightmare. When they lose Saint-Étienne, they lose big. That's the thing. So it's one of them where I can see why maybe the handicap on Toulouse would be popular, but I'm not personally a big Toulouse fan this season, and that's why I couldn't be going near them at minus 275. That said, I do think they'll win the game because Saint-Étienne have got a lot of injuries and, as I say, notoriously bad when they're bad. I suppose if I was gonna have a bet, you might as well take the handicap, a bigger handicap on Toulouse. I'm just looking now. Toulouse minus 2 on the Asian is plus 210 because we're thinking it's probably not 1-0 if they do win. So the minus 2 Asian could be worth a little bit of piece of money here for me, Jack. I don't know if you looked at this game, if you had any fancies on it or not.
I did have a little look. Yeah, like if you're Saint-Étienne, and as you said, they're going to lose. If there's no better place to lose than Toulouse on a Friday night, is there? So if you're going to lose anywhere. I looked at this and the thing that jumped out at me, I say you're obviously the expert here on the French football and on Ligue 1, but just Saint-Étienne's away record this season is horrendous, and they've been losing all 7 away games in the league at half time. So that was a point that I looked at. I think it was minus 120 for Toulouse to be leading at half time. But I went down a different angle because I looked for something a little bit of plus money. And that's for I looked at the Asian total first half, and it's 1.25 and plus 105. Now, Toulouse haven't been overly prolific in the first half, but their last home game, they were winning 2-0 at half time. So that would obviously give this a full cash. There's only been 7 goals in their 7 home games. But you look at Saint-Étienne's away record, and obviously that's heavily weighted because I think there was 6-0 down in that game you mentioned. Obviously, they're not keen on playing on a Friday. And there's been 16 goals in the first half of Saint-Étienne away games in the league so far this season. They've only contributed 1 of those goals as well. So you can see where we're going with it. So that was just my lean there, just to give a plus money option. over 1.25 first half Asian total at plus 105.
Yeah, I think if it goes bad for Saint-Étienne, it goes really bad. And it could be they're the sort of team. It's sometimes when you've been beaten big, and the last away game they got beat big. The next time you go away, it's not a bad idea to get on the unders actually, because the team might just try and tighten up and keep it close and park the bus sometimes. But I don't think they're capable of doing it. That's the problem with Saint-Étienne. Win to 0 for Toulouse is plus 104, which, well, I think you mentioned there they just don't contribute enough goals away from home, do they, Saint-Étienne? So maybe that could be an angle as well. If I liked Toulouse more, then I would be probably all over them on just a normal Asian line of minus. I mean, even the normal line is minus 1.25 though, and that's minus money as well, which just doesn't feel right with Toulouse. But I do think if you like them, back them to win big. If it goes wrong for Saint-Étienne, this could be a 3-goal or more margin victory. But it wouldn't be a surprise because they just seem to give up when they get behind. Which trait is it? Benny, welcome in. Good to see you. And thanks very much for the kind words about my cat, Shane. He's looking rather nice this week. Jack, will we have a hot dog this week? Asked Paul Laguna. Well,
of course we will.
There's a hot dog. There's certainly a hot dog on the Premier League show. Whether or not we can do a hot dog for this evening, for this afternoon. Sorry, I don't know. Paul Laguna likes the Army versus Navy, isn't it? In the NFL, American football. Isn't that match like always goes under? There's some ridiculous trend when it was Army versus Navy. It used to go under the points total so many times. Something like that off the top of my head. Okay, I've just got some betting splits for that game as well. 98% of the money's on Toulouse. No surprise there. Only 60% of the money's on the over, though. 60% of the money's on the under. So under is really that's the 2.5 market, as a lot of people thinking this is going to be 1-0, 2-0 Toulouse, perhaps, which is quite interesting there. We've got a fascinating match to talk about now in Germany, Freiburg against Wolfsburg, and I think this is a real conundrum, Jack. I've got to talk to you here about how do we approach betting on soccer in terms of underlying metrics, right? Because there's a large discrepancy here in terms of where teams should be and where they shouldn't be for this match. Freiburg are the favourites at plus 125. Wolfsburg now as big as plus 230. The ties at plus 235. Over 2.5 goals at minus 121. Now, before we looked at stuff like expected goals, points, goals against, field tilt, whatever floats your boat. This would have been a no-brainer bet for me today, actually. I would have just been all over Wolfsburg on draw no bet, plus a quarter of a goal, even money line. But then I looked at some of the stats today, and they are a ridiculously overachieving side. Nearly 10 goals over achievement in XG, nearly 6 points in terms of expected points over achievement. And history tells us that teams that are not elite, i.e. the ones that don't have the best players in their league, usually regress. It has to go back to the norm. But I watch Wolfsburg. They don't feel like they've been that lucky. They don't feel like they've overachieved to me. The eye test, I mean, I like the one, the eye test, but then I delved deeper and I'm like, I'm not sure about this one, Jack. Where are you on that? And where are you on this game?
Yeah, I think the metrics, we've got so many we can use these days, and you can always use them to support an argument or counter an argument. It depends on really what you're looking to achieve from it, isn't it? I do like to use them to a certain extent. I like to see sides that are creating chances and possibly being a little bit unlucky, because you can sometimes pick up a bit of value that way. I'm a bit old school, I suppose, in the fact that what I like it for it to boil down to is I want them to be actually able to create chances and score chances, get the points on the board, get the goals get goals scored. So that's what the most important thing for me is. Although you can, like I say, have cast an eye over it and see those, like you've said. I know you're probably more into using the metrics than I am, coming down to the fact that you can see that sides that possibly are the outliers in a division where they're just not getting the rubber to green.
More than me.
Yeah, not loads. I think sometimes at the start of a season I use it a little bit more because you can get a little bit of a feel for their sides that are not that are just being pitched on what they've produced, as far as bare results are concerned. So you can sometimes see those sides that just aren't getting that luck early doors. I think once you're a fair chunk into the season, which we kind of are now, it's sort of balanced out. And we had it. I think Brighton were the poster campaign for that, weren't they, a couple of seasons ago, that they just kept creating lots and lots and lots of chances, but they had no one to finish them. So if you haven't got anyone to finish your chances off, you're never going to win games. You're never going to pick up points, and you'll be classified as unlucky. But ultimately, you'll lose. And if you invest your money in them, that's ultimately what you'll be as well. Oh well, so unlucky there. They had 3.2 XG to their 1.7, and we lost 3-1 again. So it's one of those, isn't it? But I use it, but it's one I keep an eye on as a secondary option, I suppose, more than absolutely basing my betting on it.
Just to actually, throw even more of a curveball here, Freiburg, incredibly, have the 4th best expected points total in the Bundesliga. Which, I mean, that whenever I've seen them play, they don't look like a top 4 or 5 team to me. It reminds me a bit of perhaps Fulham. I think Fulham are like 4th or 5th expected points in the Premier League. But when you watch them, you can actually see them pretty good side, actually. Freiburg, I don't bet on them much. Someone just put a comment in there, very unpredictable, a bit like Bournemouth. And that's one of the reasons I can never really get a great read on them. They did beat Gladbach last time at home here, and I fancied them to lose that one. So, I mean, I fancy them to lose. I think Wolfsburg will get at least a draw here. They've got momentum, and they are overachieving by 10 goals, but they've got players who can finish. They've actually got players in their side who don't miss chances. And they score from distance. They've got some good players who can score from long shots. If you don't shoot, you don't
Bournemouth
score.
Were a perfect example there, to be fair. I watched him again the other night against Tottenham. I mentioned it on the Premier League show, and obviously my main, I watch more Premier League and English football than anything else, so I'll compare it to that. I watched against Bournemouth, against Tottenham, and they should have won that game 3-4, 5-0. They created so many good chances, and it's a theme throughout the course of the season so far. But they just didn't even hit the target with them. They were blazing it over, pushing it wide. They were just so poor in front of goal. No clinical finishing at all. And that, I was thinking they're going to get caught out here and Spurs are going to go and nick an equaliser. They didn't. But it was one of those that you think, well, they're racking up the XG, they're racking up the chances, the big chances created and all that, but they still just didn't have that person that had that cool head to finish the chances off. So be careful with the metrics. Use them if that floats your boat. But I think there's nothing better than the eye test. Simple as that.
The bet I'm going to advise here is a goal scorer, and it's a Wolfsburg player who I've been impressed with recently, and that is Amora. I'm going with Mohamed Amora to score any time, plus 260. He scored twice in the recent 5-1 win at Wolfsburg. Sorry, at Leipzig, 5-1 win. I actually called that on the Euro show, betting weekly extra time. And he scored last week against Mainz, who didn't. It was a 4-3 win. Plus 260 is really big for a player who's in form. Jonas Wind as well, by the way. I've always rated this guy. He had a great record last season. He's been out of favour with Ralph Hasenhüttl. They don't get on. They don't get on at all. But when he has been on the pitch, he's done quite well. And I think he might keep using him as a super sub. So he's one of those players to back in running. When he comes on the field, back him to score. Jonas Wind.
Did he come off the bench and get a brace the other night?
He did.
Yeah.
That might get him back in the starting 11, But I mean,
he's got a decent head-to-head record against them as well. I noticed that too. He was going to be someone I was keeping an eye on, but so I noticed he was not really in favour. So was one that I bypassed.
What would your bet be here, Jack?
I was surprised, actually. I've actually taken over 2.5 goals in this one. I was surprised that the price was backable at minus 121. Both these sides have had a decent history of goals in them. Wolves 29 scored 29, conceded 22 across 13 games. So you can see there's plenty of goals at both ends there. What a win for them away in their last away game, 5-1 at Leipzig. That shows you what they were all about at that point in time. Freiburg, 5 of their 6 at home have cashed for over 2.5 goals. They're averaging exactly 3 per game. There was a 0-0 in there, which kind of drops that average down a little bit. And Wolfsburg, 4 of 6 have gone over 2.5 away from home, but their average is 3.83. and 4 of their last 5 are cashed for overs. So it just seems to me like there's a few goals in this game, and I was expecting, as is normally the way in Bundesliga, that you have to be a little bit kind of creative as far as getting the goals onside, be it both teams to score in overs or going over 3.5. So to be able to take a flat over 2.5 line here, I had it. So Freiburg have won 3 of their home games this season, 3-1. So there's been plenty of goals across the board here. And Wolfsburg in form, so they'll go there. I like an away side that go in there with probably a bit of confidence that they can go and get a positive result. So, yeah, over 2.5 goals for me, the play.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a more confident team in the Bundesliga right now than Wolfsburg. I mean, you know what, Ralph Hasenhüttl sides, when they get momentum, they're difficult to stop. I mean, equally, there have been some car crashes down the years with Ralph. But I do, Southampton fans right now, you do wonder who they'd rather be in charge of their team, Russell Martin or Ralph Hasenhüttl. I think it was a mistake for them to sack him when they did. Yeah. They'd have avoided the Nathan Jones debacle for a start. Good manager, Nathan Jones, but it just didn't work there, did it? Just going through some comments now. Thanks very much, Benny. The ladder was working again yesterday in the Lyon game. I don't think the ladder's coming out this evening. But and the over-under is set at 39.5 for that Army-Navy game, says the producer, Troy. Quite a few putting in some comments about that game. Bryson Daly, 2+ touchdown, says Benny, for the Army-Navy. Looking back at some other comments here, Ginepi loves betting on Freiburg. You cash them many a time. They beat the lower teams and get beaten by the better ones. De-Icer Dave, that is a shame about that parlay. Slavia Prague shocked me. There was someone actually in the chat yesterday who said Anderlecht are a good bet, and I rather shot it down. So well done. I can't remember who that was who put that in the comments, but yeah, that did stick in my mind when I saw the Anderlecht score. I was really surprised by it. Let's have a look at some other. Yeah, there's a few other comments about the weekend bets, but some splits for this game then. Bundesliga, 74% of the money's on Freiburg. That surprises me a little bit. I just thought Wolfsburg might attract a bit more because they're on fire. 92% of the money is on the over. Very much goes hand in hand with you there, Jack. I've got to say the over does look a good shout, doesn't it? A few player prop bets on the under shots for Jonas Wind, under 2.5 total shots. I think I wouldn't be betting that. I mean, if he doesn't start, that'll be a void bet anyway. But often get a few player props. People going on the unders,
like the unders, yeah.
Go on the player props. But okay, we've got 2 more matches to talk about. Actually, sorry, there's a house special there. But Paul Laguna has actually just reminded me of what the house special is, and it's Maximilian Philipp or Lucas Nmecha to score the first goal into this evening's match, Freiburg versus Wolfsburg, plus 315. That is a raised house special. I mean, the thing is, when you've just been involved in a 4-3 result, I mean, anyone can score really, but I think I'd be looking at probably the strikers really more than perhaps some of the wide players here. But it is a first half special. Sorry, a Bet Rivers house special. And there's some specials to come up in the next 2 games that we're going to talk about as well. 2 more games on the discussion plate. Empoli, Torino. There's a house special, no first half goals. Basically 0-0 half time, plus 123. But I've got a feeling that you might be moving people away from the house special here, Jack.
I would not do such a thing.
But I mean, last week it was noticeable. There was a bit of a crazy score for Empoli, who they're not known for their high scoring games, but the first half contained 5 goals last week in an Empoli match, which was rather stunning. It was against Verona, who were struggling, but suddenly they might have found their feet. Empoli plus 170 here on the money line, and plus 175, sorry, now at the time of recording. Torino plus 210. Basically a pick'em game with Bet Rivers. On the handicap, Tino bet is pretty even amongst both. This isn't a match I personally have much interest in, but I know you've delved deep.
I don't know about deep, but I certainly scratched the surface on it. And I must admit, I was looking at it going, yeah, well, unders, and then I saw the line and I thought, oh, you've got me there. You've suckered me in a little bit. And I saw, maybe it's because I've been spending too much time talking about Premier League football and used to the goals there. But I do like cast my eye over Serie A and Serie B, and sometimes you can get these games that are just expected to be low scoring, and you delve into it and you think there's a bit more action. So I saw that we can play here the Asian 2 goal line, Asian total of 2. So 2 goals is a push, 3 or more for the win. And I then had a little look around and thought, well, do you know what? There's enough evidence for me here to have a play on this 2 Asian total. So that's what it is. It's plus 100. So a real nice double your money option here. And as I said, the support is there for it. I just wonder, like that result you talked about last week, is that going to give them the confidence, Empoli, to go, do you know what? We've let the handbrake off a little bit here. They got a good result in Coppa Italia, didn't they? They were 2-2, but got through against Fiorentina. They've then gone and scored 4 first-half goals in a big away win. And I just wonder if that might well just give them that confidence to go and say, well, actually, you look at their bare form at home and it's not that eye-catching. But can they now go and kick on a little bit after a couple of really good, decent results, which has taken them up into the top half of the table? So just looking at the bare stats, they met in September in the Cup. That was 2-1 there, so that would have cashed. 3-2 when these 2 sides met in April. And that's the 4th meeting where this bet has cashed easily. The last 4 meetings have been 3-2, 2-2, 1-3, and 4-1. And as I said, Empoli will take confidence from that 4-1 win at Verona, with all the goals coming in the first half. The last 5 matches have all seen at least 2 goals. And Torino, we'll look at them as far as the fly in the ointment, I suppose, that their last away day was 0-0. But not that long ago, you go 2 or 3 games back and you'll see that there was 3 games that they featured away from home that all ended 3-2, one way or another. They won one of those and lost 2. So I just feel that there is that scope, that there is goals there. If we can get it to come out to the surface, especially an early enough goal, then we could well and truly be on to a decent price winner in this one. So the bet's only lost once in the last 9 meetings between these 2 sides, and say Torino are on a run of scoring in each of the last 10 meetings between both these sides. So both teams to score, yes, has actually landed in 7 of the last 8. So on that basis, there's enough evidence to suggest that we're well on our way to cash in a ticket for over 2 Asian total.
Yeah, I do like a good over 2 line when there's some factors that can be looked at potentially favourably. Just looking through some of the comments here, Simon says Empoli have actually created the least chances of all teams in Serie A. They do have the lowest XG, this is according to Understat. But we're now probably actually at the stage, certainly not discounting Simon here at all, where because we're 15 games in, it could be that in the first, say, 6 or 7 games, they were so bad at creating that their overall numbers are lower. Like recently, surely you've got to improve when they've scored more goals. Then again, you could play devil's advocate and say, they scored 4 last week. Have they shot the load? Are they out of ammunition now? Is there anything left in that gun? So
we'll find out. I look at it, and sometimes there was a couple of comments on the Premier League show this week saying about, would you expect this result or that result? And we said, well, probably one result, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the bet that we'll take, because there's just a bit more value on the other side of it. And you look at it and you go, oh yeah, this could be, like I said, both teams to score. No, this could be unders. And then when you look at the price, you think, would I bet it? No, I wouldn't. I just think there's a bit of juice to be had betting that there will be goals, because you can get on board at a low line. I just think there's some value in it. I say sometimes we talk about this all the time, don't they? Where just because of a result doesn't necessarily make it the right bet or doesn't make it the value bet. So it's a great argument that we'll probably have until forever and a day. But there's different ways that you can look at attacking any particular game.
A lot of different split opinions in the chat about this game, and I can tell you 86% of the money is on Empoli, which is that's more than I thought there would be here. 85% of the money is on the over as well, so that's intriguing. Although only 52% of the tickets are, so basically the bigger bets are on the over, and the smaller bets are on the under. But remember, you can watch this game live streaming on the BetRivers app or betrivers.com. Be intriguing to go which direction it heads. Jack saying over 2 goals on the Asian line. And a few comments about the Torino, a bit negative this year. Need to sack their manager, says Ginepi. The La Liga game, final game we're going to talk about on the card today, Valladolid against Valencia. It's a bottom two clash in La Liga, 20th against 19th, which means what do I go with, Jack? This is one of Steve Wyss theory games.
Theory.
Blind over, always, especially when we're 14, 15 games into the season. I am going with over 2 goals here as my best bet of the day. I was with that before I looked. I was thinking I'm probably not going to have much stats here and things to back me up. But actually, if you took over 2 Asian goals in the last 10 Valladolid matches, you would have only lost once. Partly because they're so bad defensively. And Valencia recently have opened up a bit more. The 4-2 win against Betis. Last week they did lose 1-0. But actually, if you sort of recent trends between the two teams are overish. But really, the main reason that I'd be going over is the situation, the theory of it. When you are down at the bottom of the table, you feel like these are your best chances to win matches. I've been there myself in amateur sport, where you get beaten nearly every other week, and then you come up against a side who are nearly as bad or worse than you, and you actually believe you have a go for it. You think you've got to win it, and you open up. These games can either be, sometimes to be fair, they can be a complete drab 0-0, where both teams have got zero confidence whatsoever. But I just think this is a game where neither can just take a draw. You've got to try and beat what's in front of you, and Valencia especially being a bigger name, even though they are not. I mean, they are the favourite here. Valencia minus a quarter of a goal. No doubt they do have a bit more quality in their ranks. They're an absolute basket case of a club, no doubt whatsoever about it. But for me, this will all, when we're this far into a season, the theory for me doesn't change. I'm always, if this line was 2.25, I'd take the over 2.25. If 2.5 was generous, I'd take that. It's just I've always gone with this, and it's been more profitable than not down the years for me. And then I looked a bit deeper and actually quite like the goals anyway. So it's got to be for me best bet of the day, over 2 Asian, Valladolid, Valencia, and minus 124 Bet Rivers. Nice play.
I saw that Valencia's manager, Ruben Baraja, was confronted in the car park at the Mestalla last weekend after that defeat that they had there. So I was just wondering if Roy Keane would fancy maybe going over there and filling Gary Neville's old shoes and taking on the Valencia job. That could be an interesting one if they're up for a bit of car park dust up. So we'll see. But yeah, mate, a tough one. It's a huge game. Valencia got a couple of games in hand down there, haven't they? So be interested to see they can really close the gap with a game in hand if they can get the 3 points tonight. But should be a feisty one. Should be an interesting one.
There'll be a lot of people saying Valencia are too good to go down, and they probably are. But we've seen many a big team down the years in top Euro leagues, fall foul of this situation. It's a difficult environment. Just looking through here, Simon says, do you think that teams will be terrified to lose? I don't see it that way. I think Valencia, the fans will come here expecting to win. Valladolid are a case where they've almost got nothing to lose now. They've got to go for it. I mean, they've not even got double-digit points yet, Valladolid. So that's
one thing about them is they've got a little bit of hope in that. I noticed that they haven't won a couple this season and drawn a couple, but it's been against those sides down the bottom of the table where they have managed to get a win. They I think it was the opening weekend of the season. They won, didn't they? I did write it down. Who were they playing? Espanyol. They won, who were third bottom. They got a draw against Leganés, who are fourth bottom, and they beat Alaves, who are fifth bottom, 3-2. So their points and their wins have come against those sides. So that they will look at it and go, well, look, we've done it against the sides third, fourth, and fifth bottom. We need to go and do it against the sides second from bottom. So if there's any crumb of comfort or hope for them, and they've got a new manager in charge at the moment as well, haven't they? Or relatively new, so they'll look to try and get an upturn. They need it, as you say. It's getting to that point where it'll be desperate if they can't get 3 points tonight.
And yeah, I agree. It's sad to see Valencia like this. Like me, I'm sure you remember them being a really big team. Champions League final in the late 90s. I think it might have been 2000 actually. And Simon thinks it would do good to go down long term. I don't actually. Well, maybe long term. But if they go down, I could see them in the next Deportivo La Coruña. if you remember them, La Liga champions back when they had Jalmenia and the type, and they ended up in like tier 4. I think they're just about clawing their way back now. Deportivo La Coruña, another team. I had a bit of a soft spot for them actually. Valencia are a mess and they need to sort themselves out. They are being backed though. 80% of the money is on them here with Bet Rivers and 87% of the tickets. So bettors are liking them. 77% of the money is on the over, with only 57% of the tickets. Before we go,
would you be having them at plus 135, Steve?
That's a really good one. I am going to predict Valencia win. Yeah, I'm going to predict they win. Yeah, I think a 2-1 away win for Valencia is what's on the menu today. I think the Valladolid are not a very good team. And I think Valencia, they've got a couple of games in hand. I mean, they just beat Real Betis 4-2 at home. That's a team in Europe, right? And that was an emotional game after the flooding victims and everything. And that's another reason I think they might just be more fired up. I'll be honest, though, I expected them to win last weekend against Rayo Vallecano. Like, I had that down. I thought they'd win that. I thought they'd kick on from it, and they lost 1-0. So that's the problem with Valencia. They just maybe it's not a bad thing they lost last week. Maybe they're going to be more fired up and focused to do it. Just before we go, a reminder for everyone to subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter nearly had a clean sweep this week. Only a 94th minute goal from Union Saint-Gilloise prevented the clean sweep. Me and you, Jack, you're in the winners with the newsletter this week with a great pick on QPR plus money as well. There's been some great winners on it, and I think there's a special segment coming out on Monday's edition, which will go into your inbox with Sean and Nigel previewing some of the tennis for next year, some names to watch, things like that. So yeah,
that sounds amazing. Nigel was talking about it yesterday, and if any of the tennis fans out there, even if you're not, it's a great insight to get you started for the new season. I think there's 30 players to watch. They're going to go through all those guys. So
incredible.
Yeah, that'll be a great asset to have throughout the course of the season.
Well, there was a brilliant one on the Challenger newsletter where with Sean Calvert there. Going through it, and that was a really interesting piece on the newsletter. Even a bit of extra cooking advice at the bottom of it. Player count before we go. Best banker for each of us at the weekend. I'm thinking, I'm going to give one out that I wouldn't obviously give Norman. I'm going to go Premier League here. I think Newcastle I think Newcastle run riot against Leicester tomorrow. Personally, I think they rack up the score big. And I think Newcastle handicap -1.5. That would be a banker for me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go in the Championship then. As you're standing on my toes, Steve, I'm going to drip down into the Championship. And I'm going for Sheffield United to win 0 against Plymouth, who have only scored 3 goals away from home all season. And Sheffield United are on a run of 8 consecutive home clean sheets. They only conceded on that opening weekend game. I think it was against QPR, but since then have kept 8 clean sheets. On the spin, I think they beat Plymouth without any fuss whatsoever.
How bad are Plymouth? Because
very bad.
Very bad, aren't they? That's going to be
especially away from home.
I looked at that, and that looks a great pick. To be fair,
it was plus money at the start of the week. Probably not now, but even -120 would be a play still for me on that.
What happened to Norwich? Asked Paul Laguna. Have you
drifted off that for? What happened? What happened to Norwich? Well, we lost to QPR, which was predictable. They had a player suspended a few hours before a game started in midweek, and we got a 0-0 draw at Portsmouth. So home to Burnley on Sunday, low scoring, unders. Burnley might nick it. Josh Brownhill shot on target.
So what happens, Oggy, is that you subscribe to it. You'll get a weekly email, usually Monday, occasionally Tuesday, into your inbox. If you can't find it there, check there's so many different folders now on emails, spam, junk, whatever, all social things, and you will get it. No doubt about it, Oggy, whatsoever. Simon says he likes a massive doggy in Mainz against Bayern. Bayern are missing a lot of players. I'm not gonna lie, that did cross my mind when I was looking at hot dog picks for the weekend. It was on the shortlist.
That's a Great Dane of a hot dog.
That's a huge hot dog. I think it's something like plus 800. on Mainz. I'm not sure about buying either this weekend. Let me just have a look at this price. Plus 550 on Mainz. Maybe they've been backed in a bit since I last looked, actually. They're a funny side, Mainz. They can be anything on the day. My favourite play today, Dave, is that over 2 goals in the Valladolid game. Over 2 against Valencia. What's your best bet today, Jeff?
My best bet, actually, I've not mentioned it yet, so I'm going to tell you now. It's Josh Murphy. I have over 1.5 shots. I'm going for a player prop. It's at -118 in that championship game. Derby versus Portsmouth. He's had 19 shots in his last 6 games. He's had 2 or more in all of them. And he'd scored 3 on the spin until he blanked against his former club, Norwich, in midweek. He's had 3 or more shots in 4 of those 6 games as well. And if you want a little bit extra money, plus 230 for him to have 3 or more tonight. Also, he had 3 in his last away game. So he's had his last 3 away days. He's had 2 at Swansea, 3 at Plymouth, and 3 at Hull. So confidence player who's coming into form, and expect him out on the left-hand wing to have a couple of shots tonight.
Josh Murphy over 1.5 shots, -127. This is the championship game, Derby Portsmouth. We nearly ended the show without having your best bet, Jack.
Well,
your best bet before
that's what we go. It pays these people to hang on to the last minute. It's there.
Paul Laguna, you're the best as well. Paul Laguna made this for me. I finally got my hands on it last Friday. I have got to do some work behind me, but this is going to go up somewhere, Paul. Thank you so much for making this for me. Also, has made me a great one on the Baltimore Ravens. If you want to see me receive it, it's on the Instagram last week. But that's going to be it for Betting Weekly Live this week. I want to thank everyone who has been involved in the shows, right from Monday through to today. The comments have been brilliant. There's been so many good winners in the comments as well. So many people who come into these shows and know what they're talking about. Shakespeare, people like that, for example. It's well worth reading the comments. Sometimes we can't even put them up on the Champions League nights. It's so manic. But yeah, cheers for everyone. Anyone new coming in, if you could, drop us a like, drop us a subscription on the YouTube channel. It would be really appreciated. It really helps us out because it helps us produce the best content we possibly can here on at Because We Win. But apart from that, all I will say is good luck to everyone for today and across the weekend. The Premier League show's out. You can watch that. Betting Weekly Extra Time with me, James, and Dan, that is out as well. You can watch that. And if you're just joining now, you can watch this replay before the matches kick off. You've got about 3 hours. Coach Zanko, good to see you. Over 2.5 in that game. That is what Jack likes in that particular match. I like a goal scorer and more. But Jack, have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Steve. You have a top weekend as well. And to all subscribers, thanks for the comments. Absolutely love reading those and hearing those as well on the videos. So keep them coming. And one hell of a community we're building here as well. So it's been a joy to be a part of it.
Remember to gamble responsibly. But until next week on Betting Weekly Live, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Jack. We'll see you next time.